Hi guys, welcome back to another race review. This time we are at Trail Seaside for race number 8 of the Trail Racing Club Gran Turismo Touring Car Championship. So as I've commented before, this is MRC's sort of flagship event series, whatever you want to call it. We're in season 9 of the competition now. I only joined a couple of seasons ago. I think a lot of you probably know that. It's Group 4 cars. We're running custom BOP this season, which makes the car you're looking at just OP. If you're not in the Porsche, you've lost most races. The NSX is a good car actually, and there's a few good cars that are suitable on different tracks, but as an overall, the Porsche just got the gun, and it's not too bad in the corners despite being an understeery absolute BOS. So we're at Dragon Trail Gardens for the reverse grid, so if we just jump on board with everyone. So at the front we've got Evil Cat, who finished last in the first race. We've got TR Owen, we've got Steve Stones, we've got Dark Smoker in 4th, so he can do a lot from here. Dark Smoker does have pace, so hopefully we'll see him in some good action. We've got Viali in 5th, we've got SHAREfactory in 6th, Has91 in 7th, Mutt in 8th, yours truly in 9th, and then B-Rated, who won last time out, in 10th. So he's chipping away at my championship lead. Going into this, I think it was like a 9 or an 8 or 9 point lead in the championship. I can't quite remember. So I needed points out of this. With just 2 rounds to go after this, it really could go down to the wire as to who takes the championship. You know, I'm hopeful it'll be me, but we'll see. We'll find out on Friday. As I record this, is it Monday night? I'm losing track of time. Yeah, it's Monday night. So a fair bit to cover in this one. The first sort of 5-6 laps are just chaotic, as they always are with these reverse grids, because you got us guys at the back who want to get to the front. And then the race does have a bit of a settling in period in the middle, and then some action sort of happens again at the end, and we'll sort of cap it off. And it's a good one to watch, to be fair. Dragon Trail Seaside always produces some good racing. So without further ado, let's get on with this one and see what happens. So we'll jump up to Evil Cat at the front, and let's get this show on the road. So what you're going to see as the lights come out, just keep your eye on car number 2, TR Owen, false starts. What happens when you false start is your car is then stuck, has to serve a penalty. Dark Smoker has to avoid it. SHAREfactory unsighted smashes into the back of that car. So let's pause and rewind the action. So if we go on board with SHAREfactory, and you'll kind of see what I mean. So he's obviously got the lights on his screen, so we'll be watching that. He can't see anything, and then he's suddenly sent spinning around. And if we look at who's caught up in this, so you've got B-Rated who's caught up in this as well. So B-Rated's carrying damage, SHAREfactory's carrying damage, I'm span around and I'm at the back now pretty much carrying damage, and Mutt facing the wrong way, carrying a lot of damage. So let's just review that start again from... if we go on board with Mutt, I think he gets a good old whack from this. So you see there's about 5 or 6 cars sent to Neverland. If we go back up to the front and just see how the guys up top have got away with this one. So currently, Steve Stones in the BMW M4 is leading the way. So Steve's had a very good start. Evil Cat's dropped down a position in the Hyundai. He's in second. He's going to get swallowed up very quickly by Viali behind. Has91 is also going to want to make a move. So is Dark Smoker, who takes the opportunity to slip one up the inside of Has. TR Owens fell all the way down to 6th after that false start. B-Rated up in 7th. This was bad news for me. I really needed to get past this guy, and I knew it wasn't going to be easy because he was genuinely quick. I kind of knew my only chance of doing so was to do it early. So this was the man that was in my way, SHAREfactory. jump up. Always worth covering the chicane of death, I think. So this is what this track is famous for. We're coming to it now. So this sort of series of corners turns into almost a street circuit here with barriers. You can really liberally get through the chicanes there. Sorry, through the curbs. Everyone managing to get through. Evil Cat doesn't. Gives Dark Smoke a bit of a tap and goes pirouetting through the track. Going to drop him all the way down. Let's have a look as B-Rated goes for a move on TRO in manages to make it. Dark Smoker gets a bit of a tap there, and I take advantage of that mayhem and go all the way up the middle. So this is a move worth reviewing because this is one that I want to submit for Overtake of the Week. Not bragging rights or anything, but let's just go on board with me. So at this point, I can see these three cars up ahead. I know B-Rated is going to throw one up the inside. I know TRO in fairness will probably give him the space, and I'm sort of anticipating one of them to have a slow run out the corner, so I just make sure my entry is absolutely bang on. So at this point I see Dark Smoker's obviously gone wide, he's outbraked himself. My fear is he's going to come back onto the racing line, because he's not necessarily going slow, but my fear is he's obviously going to want to recover from this, so I subconsciously sort of tail in behind B-Rated. You'll see what happens in a sec. So here obviously TRO has left the door open for me, which is fair racing for him. He could have shut that, but he didn't. You see Dark Smoker has recovered from his wideness. B-Rated's right on the curb, there's no room on his inside. The feasible gap now is between Dark Smoker and B-Rated. So make a little bit of contact and I'm through. So we'll just watch that again, just so you can see it all happening in real time. Lovely. Anyway, on with the show. So I'm now up into 5th. That's got me past B-Rated. So I wasn't panicking too much now. Obviously wanted to get past as many cars as quickly as possible. At this point in Dark Smoker's stream, he's calling me all sorts of names and telling me to F off. But unfortunately he leaves me the room and doesn't put up too much of a fight when coming through. I'm now onto the back of the... I need to get myself on the back of the leading group, which is currently fielded at the hem by a GTR. There's then a Porsche behind him and then a BMW. So it's good to see the non-Porsches having a good time out so far. It is a track, it's a power track. So overall speed comes from the power of the car, I guess, and not necessarily the handling aspect of it. But certain sections of the track, like the S as you've just seen, the GTR will be supreme at. So these three now battling. Has a real opportunity to get himself up into first position. So let's see if Has manages to do just that. So yeah, he's got a good run on Viala coming into the final turn. Is he going to throw one up the inside? I don't think he's close enough, but he's going to make a look anyway. Looks like he outbreaks himself a little bit. Just goes slowly. That's going to give Steve Stones the opportunity to get the one on Viala now, but unfortunately it just gives him a little bit of a tap. Does let me up into 3rd. So I'm now on the back of Steve and Viali. These guys are now going to battle it out for the race leads. Going to help me out in a way, because if they're fighting, it's going to slow them both down. They're not taking optimal lines. They'll be worrying about the braking point, not the mirrors. And I can hopefully make a move done around about here. So Viali's very racy. He knows he's got a good chance to put up a fight for a top spot. I'm also in the mood as well because of my poor time out at Interlagos. I know I need to pick up points. I know B-Rated's going to come flying through that pack at some point. So I need to just take advantage of this part of the race while I can. And if we look at my times, obviously I am chomping in decent times at the minute. Just come through the S's then. At this point I hook these up really nicely and get a really good run out of this corner. You'll notice that Viali and Steve were worrying about each other too much, and that's going to give me the run. Another sort of overtake to cover on this one is my move on Viali and Steve, so another 2 cars in one sort of combo. So we'll just go on board with me and explain my thinking. So obvious space is obvious. My ideal line would be where Steve Stones is, but he's going to cover that, and any further right is you're just not going to get any exit speed out of the corner, because you'll be going just too slowly. So yeah, I at least want to get the move on Viali made. So as we're braking, you can see Steve brakes a little bit earlier than everyone else. Viali's quite late on the brakes, to be fair. He normally does brake quite early. So at this point, I'm thinking, right, this isn't going to work, this door's going to shut properly. You'll see me start backing off the brakes and drift over a little bit to the left in order to get the switch back. So, gaps there for me. Viali has gone wide, Steve has outbraked himself probably a little bit, worrying about me too much. And those two are basically going to let me through in a sense. At this point there is contact between me and Viali. This is my fault. I didn't think he'd got a good run out of the corner as he actually did. So I'm just going to take my normal racing line. I didn't have the radar on at this point, and the reason was I was adjusting my brake balance. And on my wheel I haven't got knobs. My wheel doesn't have a knob on it, so I have to do it all manually, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. So there's a little bit of contact there between me and Viali, but everyone escapes unscathed. So let's have a replay of that, and you can see how that one plays out. Okay, so that's me up into the lead, where I want to be now. Now my job is to head down, build a gap. So let's have a skip through the pack and see how everyone's forming out. So Steve Stones in second. Good time out so far. Good to see a BMW so high up. Same for the GTR, because there is then a sea of Porsches following. So we've got CJW-Racing in fourth, B-rated in fifth, who is catching CJW-Racing at quite a rate after making moves. Has 91, who had that off and the last lap, is now on a recovery drive. Dark Smoker has got Mutt for company. TR Owen and Evil Cat in the Hyundai. So out of the 10 cars, only 3 of them are non-Porsches. It just shows you how OP the car is, to be brutally honest. And you're going to see sort of the story of the race is Steve Stones and Viali. However well they race, they don't really have the pace that a lot of us Porsche guys have. So B-rated is really starting to catch on to this group now. Despite a lot of the fighting being over, he's still able to hang on to the back of it. So he's going to be wanting to make moves on CJW-Racing pretty soon. Catch on to the tail end of Viali and Steve Stones. He knows he's going to have the straight line speed above the GTR and the BMW. But CJW-Racing is an equal machinery, so he'll theoretically be the toughest move, although CJW-Racing himself is racing Viali, which is only going to mess him up, because Viali is now right on the B-rated is now right on the back of him. You can't make a move around here, bit silly if you do, but what you can do is get a better exit out of the chicane of death. So CJW-Racing, little graze on the wall, just kind of give B-rated just enough momentum to get a move done potentially around the outside of the last corner. It's a longer way to go, or can he do the switchback? So CJW-Racing covered that. Good racing from CJW-Racing, just covered the switchback move. But now of course it's going to be a slipstream battle down to the first chicane. It's a decent enough straight, this one. You can carry some good speed down here, so B-rated's going to look to assert himself on the left hand side and get a move done under braking. Looks like he manages to got tons of room left between these guys, so nice and respectful. B-rated now up into fourth, so he can see a podium. Of course, at this stage, I'm not a million miles away. I'm putting in decent times, but so is everyone else behind me. So I've only really got a couple of seconds gap to Steve Stones, and you can see me just there off, just taking that corner now. And of course, this stage in the race, there's plenty of time for catch up to be made and all sorts. So Steve and Viali's having another good old battle. This is music to B-Rated's ears, as you can see this going on. So B-Rated's going to be watching this battle in ahead, because these two now are slowing each other down again. So B-Rated again will be looking for a move into that final turn potentially if one of these guys makes a mistake coming out of the chicane of death. Looks like everyone manages to get through there cleanly, but he's still going to have the power, so he's still going to have the slipstream on Viali. So can he make a move done? He's going to go for it. Viali does go wide. B-Rated doesn't get it done here, but gets a much better drive through the corner. I think Viali just gets swings a little bit sideways, and now the Budweiser mobile has got Porsche for company. Just look at the speed difference between these cars. So he's well and truly gone. There he is. Bye bye, B-Rated. So that's the advantage of horsepower, essentially. So we're 6 laps in, just under 10 minutes gone. This is pretty much how the field has shaped out for now. There's a lot of cars in top 5, 6, sort of in a couple of seconds of each other. I have built up a decent gap, only a couple of seconds, and I've got B-Rated behind me, who, as you can see, is now on a charge. He's in clean air. He can start lapping at the times we know he's more capable of. Steve Stone's still doing well in third, although SHAREfactory is well and truly keeping him company, and Viali is there or thereabouts. I don't think SHAREfactory is going to get that moved on the outside. A little bit of door banging between him and Viali, but Steve Stones keeps his place. Viali does have to concede and sort of let him through. Is everyone going to survive the chicane of death this time round? Looks like everyone does, not even a wall scrape, which is good to see. Meanwhile, Mutz and Dark Smoke are still tied at the hip, so to speak. Dark Smoke obviously caught up in that melee at the start, got a bit of a slow run out. A good move by Dark Smoke on the inside. He's going to get that move stick. Nice bit of hot Porsche on Porsche action for you here tonight. And TR Owen, currently last of the current runners, because Evil Cat's retired to the pits, presumably with quite severe damage following an incident in the wall. Okay then, so let's go forward a little bit, see if B-Rated manages to catch me, as the field has now spread out a little bit, and we'll catch you a little bit later on if there's any action. So you join us on lap 11. We're with B-Rated, who's just set a fastest lap of the race. He's been whittling my gap down over the course of the last 5 or 6 laps. I've made 1 or 2 sort of errors, unforced, which has meant he could catch right up to the back of me. SHAREfactory is still in third, has managed to get past Viali at some point. Steve Stones, after that great start, is down in 6th, and Mutz has managed to build a decent enough gap to Dark Smoker. Let's get back on board with me and B-Rated then, because this is a story for the next little bit. So looking at the timer, bottom left, there's 10-12 minutes left. If B-Rated catches me at the pace he has been, not only will he get past, but he'll have built up a couple of seconds lead by the time the race finishes. I'm not bad at defensive driving, so I'm not going to make it easy for him to get past me, don't you worry about that. But he's certainly quicker than me at this stage in the race. So B-Rated is now really pushing to get on the back of me. You can see that Porsche is all over the place. as you can now see, he's within slipstream range, so he's within that magical suck zone of a second or 8/10, and he's going to really get the power of that down this main straight. So let's see if he can make anything happen in lap 12. So approaching the last third of the race. In terms of my lap time, you can see I did a 1:42 there, so I was making it as a 1:44 a bit further down, so it was a mistake there as well. B-Rate's currently holding the fastest lap, he's lapping nice and consistent. Currently the fastest man on track. The Porsche is not bad here. It hated Interlagos, but it wasn't too bad here at all. The only corner I really had issue with is the corner we're coming up to now, which just gave the Porsche a horrific understeer, which was hard to deal with. I'm almost constantly adjusting brake bias throughout the lap. B-Rate is now right on the tail. I'm having to go defensive in order to stop him from making a move. So I managed to keep my position for now. This section here isn't a section we can pass on, as I've covered before. It's just too tight, it's too risky to make a move. So I don't push it too hard. B-Rated, however, does manage to clip the wall there, and that loses him all the momentum it built up. So now, as you can see, I'm just starting to run away into the distance again. So unfortunate that for B-Rated, but very fortunate for me. But I was aware of the dangers of the chicane of death, and although I clipped the wall on the way out once or twice, the inner wall never got me, and that's the one that really hurts you. So now we've got that sorted, let's go for a lap of Dragon Trail on board with me in the Porsche GT4. So as you come up the hill to start our lap, you sort of keep left most of the time in aiming to drift over. You just do this so you can straight line it as much as possible. Your braking zone coming into the chicane, you look for the curb starting on the right. You can take a lot of this curb on the inside and then a lot of the curb on the other side, and just aim to get on the power and drift it out wide as much as you can. This next right hand here, again, you can pretty much cut all of that, as I do, and then brake just as the grass ends. All the curb here on the inside, run the car out as wide as you dare, and power down all the way. My best way of tackling this next left-hander was a stab on the brake with a short shift and a downshift. It just helped the front rotate. I'm now adjusting brake bias slightly again as we come up the hill, just in preparation for the next series of corners. So trying to keep that nice and tight without scrubbing off too much speed. So looking for the 100 board and braking about 20 metres before it. Let the car run out here. And don't scrub off too much speed coming through the chicane of death. This is what our POV looks like coming through here, and it's utterly terrifying. So a little bit of a lift, back on the power as soon as you see the wall that would normally kill you. You tend then to get a decent exit coming into the final corner. This is critical for speed coming onto the straight. So a nice sort of mid-corner entry, go for that late apex, and then run the car all the way out, and up we go to start another lap. I think this was like in the 140s somewhere this lap, so not a bad one at all. 140.4. Yeah, we'll take that. So having a look at the midfield then, Steve Stone's in 6th. He was leading the race at one point, but that BMW's just not been able to compete at this track today. He's got another Porsche chasing down this form of Mutz, who's been recovering from his start basically. So he was caught up in the melee at the start, and ever since then has been just on a recovery mission. He's now caught back up to Steve Stone's, and with just 2 minutes left of this race, he's going to want to get a move done rather sharpish. So Steve looking a bit raggedy coming into the first hairpin. Might sacrifice his exit speed just a little bit. Let's see if Mutt can get a move done. at any point in the track. The next feasible overtaking opportunity is the braking zone going into the sharp right-hander. As you approach the chicane of death, if you don't get a move there, you've got to back off and wait for the next hairpin, really. So he's tucked in the slipstream, doesn't look close enough to make a move just yet, but you can see speed difference of that Porsche. He's going to go for it anyway. Not frozen on the inside, not close enough at this point, but that does force Steve wide. It's going to sacrifice Steve's speed. Who's got the bigger bollocks going into the chicane of death complex? Looks like Mutt's going to keep it. He does. Steve backs out. Good clean racing from these guys. Steve then just gets a little smack of the wall on the way out. That doesn't cost you too much speed. Depends how you hit it. But it can give you car damage if you get it wrong. So, not far off the end of the race. We're probably on our last lap now. So, between me and B-rated a couple of seconds. I felt relatively comfortable at this stage. I wasn't pushing the car too hard. B-rated in second, so basically he won the first race, I won the second one. So if results stay like this, it'll mean our championship leads don't really change. I'm still holding an 11-point lead going into the final rounds. We'll talk about those afterwards. SHAREfactory holding on for a well-earned third position. Again, someone who was caught up in the drama at the start along with myself. Has 91. He got away from the start bit, really, to be fair, but has gone backwards a little bit in this race. So has Viali. Mutt obviously on that recovery, and Steve Stones will be unlucky to not do better today. Let's cover the let's cover as we go over the line then. So this is round 8 of the MRC Gran Turismo Touring Car Championship. An eventful race for me, a very tense one as I come through to win. B-rated's going to bring home good points though in second. SHAREfactory is going to bring home third. So that's the podium positions all sorted out. Has 91 is going to bring us into fourth, with Viali in fifth. Mutt 36 in sixth, so he's earned that. Steve Stones in seventh. Dark Smoker in eighth. And TR Owen in 9th. So there we go then, race 8 over and done with. 2 more to go. Hope you all enjoyed that race. It was tense, let me tell you that. When I saw how fast B-rated was chopping me down in terms of time, because I wasn't pushing the car too hard. I was in sort of sector 1 and 2, and then sector 3. It was just taking more risks. Which I'll be honest, I just wasn't doing. After the luck I've had in the past couple of weeks, I wasn't willing to take it. I've made a few unforced errors, and I wasn't about to push it even further. So congrats to B-rated, obviously, for his drive out. In terms of championship standings, still leading the way on 141 points, but B-rated those sort of races bring him up to 130. In third, you've got Harry, aka Has 91, on 108, so theoretically he could still win. And then in the final sort of promotion place, currently is Mutt 36 on 96 points, but Viali is literally a point behind him, and then 2 points behind Viali is Dark Smoker. So easily, sort of anyone in the top, looking at the table now, top 8 could get promoted. Steve Stones, I think, looking at it, still in with a realistic shout. I can't really read this bloody spreadsheet that well. And yeah, things are going quite well for me. I've not had a bad season. My lowest score was Catalunya. Other than that, I've either won or come second place in most races. So me and B-rated have basically been chopping it out throughout the entire thing. Next week, we'll be reviewing Lago Maggiore, which we'll be doing the qualifying at, and then it's going to hurt my soul to say this, but Nordschleife 24-hour layout. I've done 4 laps of it in the Porsche. The car, you see it on Nordschleife now. Best time, I think it's 8 minutes 32, which I'm led to believe isn't bad, but I had 2 low lofts during that lap. So we'll see. I think, to be fair, that one's just going to be a race of who crashes the least. So the race review for that one's going to be bloody interesting, because everyone's going to have crashes. But in theory, that race could determine who wins the championship. So as much as I don't want to race it, because I don't like nodes, I'm having to get me practicing. And to be fair, what I'll probably end up doing is I'll probably end up actually liking it after this. Who knows? I'm hopeful. Anyway, the real reason I'm stopping to talk at the end of the video is to do with Kika. So fast approaching the date now. Final planning preparations are sort of getting underway. Just under 2 weeks to go. Loads of practice lobbies have been thrown up. I've not really been able to make many of them because of outside of Gran Turismo commitments. But yeah, it's not far away. Obviously, I've talked about it that much, my mind's gone blank. Yeah, it's not far away now. There's 4 sim racing groups sort of running lobbies and events across different platforms. We're going to be running on GT Sport anyway for MRC and NGR, the 2 sort of clubs I'm affiliated with. I believe I'm commentating Next Gen Racing's lobby for 6 hours. God help you. God help me as well. I'm going to have to top up on some sort of fluid. We'll be doing 3 times 2 hour sort of races. Probably with little breaks in between, just so drivers can go and have a whiz and whatnot. So that'll be going on from like 5 PM on the day, right through to 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, it'll be good fun. It'll be good fun. And obviously it's all in the name of charity. So on my car you'll see little logos for Kika, the handprints. So it's a Dutch charity supporting the research and support and care for children who are suffering with cancer. So it's a worthwhile charity, let's be honest with each other. Next activity on the channel is probably going to be more race reviews. I do have a commentary job coming up, which is on Wednesday the 31st, so I might, depending on how my week goes, I might not be able to get the reviews out before that, so that might be the next thing you see. That is the Next Gen Racing Race of Winners. So everyone that's won a championship this year goes into one big race to find out who the overall big dog is. So lots to come on that. But for now, thank you for tuning in, thank you for watching the racing, hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.